Suicide is a deliberate attempt to end one's life. And people do this for several reasons. They think it's a way to run away from shame. It's a way to escape from pain. It is a way to walk away or run away or avoid responsibility. Or they feel it is a way to put the past that they cannot get off their minds behind them. And you take your life. Suicide, is it really the way out of the situation confronting you? That's the question. Suicide, is that the option? Is that the only way to confront the situation that is right in front of you? Because there are several situations that can bring pressure to one's heart. There are several situations that can contend with one's peace. Things like failed relationships, blackmail, sexual abuse, huge indebtedness, feeling of worthlessness, feeling of not good enough, which slides into depression. These are some of the reasons that can put pressure on a man's heart, on someone's heart. When I mean a man or a woman. It can bring pressure to one's heart. It can bring pressure to one's life. It can bring pressure to one's peace of mind. But the question today, suicide, is that the best option? Is that an escape route? Is it? Is something you need to ask yourself. Is it? If you are considering anything in your heart right now, you're telling yourself that this life, what is it? What is in this life for me? If you're asking such a question, and what is in this life? Let me just take my life. Let me just take my life. It's not a solution to what is in this life. There's a whole lot ahead of you. A whole lot. When there's a situation, it depends on what you're considering. What is your heart considering? You're considering solution or you're considering escape? It is better to confront a situation than to run away from it. And running away from it through death, you don't have right over your life. So you cannot take your own life. And taking your life leaves a whole lot behind you. You think you have escaped the shame, the pain, you have escaped the embarrassment, you have escaped the emotional betrayal or pain, but you have left behind. Anyone that commits suicide leaves behind everything that one thinks he or she is running away from. Everything. Because the act of suicide affects the people around you. It affects your family, it affects your friends, it affects the community you come from, it affects the society at large. So everything, the pain, the shame, the illness, whatever you think you want to quickly end with suicide, you now leave behind in the lives of the people that love you. So everything, you didn't escape from anything. Suicide is not an escape route for anything, because everything you think was bringing pressure to you, bringing pressure to your heart, is now left behind. Is now left now to manifest in the lives of loved ones. Is left to affect the lives of those that looked up to you at some point in time. No matter the situation you think you are going through, somebody, at least one person, is looking up to you. So by committing suicide, you're telling that one that the only solution, the only way to resolve issues is to take one's life. That's not the way at all. Let's look at what are those issues that make some people want to consider suicide. Yes, it could be emotional abuse. It could be sexual abuse. It could be huge indebtedness. It just might be the feeling of worthlessness, depression, feeling of worthlessness, feeling of not good enough, slides into depression. There are reasons you want to run away from this situation, and you think, oh, ending one's life, ending your life is the way of escape. It is not at all. Let's take it from emotional abuse or sexual abuse. Some people in the past were abused sexually, and for some reasons, probably because they don't have the courage to seek help, now they bottle a whole lot. They now feel like, I am not good enough. Why did this happen to me? I want to tell you today, begin to tell yourself that you survived an ordeal. If you commit suicide and if you take your life today, are you telling yourself that you have escaped from the situation? Let those that committed the act rejoice. It's not a solution. Deal with it. Seek help. Seek help. Go for counseling. See a psychologist. And when you're done with your session with a psychologist, if you need a psychiatrist, you will be recommended to see a psychiatrist. Seeing a psychologist or a psychiatrist doesn't mean you have a mental breakdown. It means you are avoiding a mental breakdown. Peradventure, there's a mental breakdown, and so what? Seeking help. Seek for help. Seek help. Don't drown in the situation. Don't let it drive you to take your life when there's solution ahead of you. You take your life and you leave those that committed the crime to keep doing so? No. Seek help. And if possible, report to authority. If it's possible. If it's not, or you can identify the persons, you don't know who they are, or you feel, because this one, the one that really cuts deep, is the sexual abuse by a relative. And nobody wants to believe your story that you were a victim. Heal. Allow your heart to heal. Seek for help. See a specialist. Go through sessions of counseling, and you'll find that you'll be fine. When you come out of it and you're living like a victor, a conqueror that you are, those that committed the act will find that they just destroyed themselves. They destroyed their own future and not yours. You need to hold your head high. It's not a reason to consider suicide. And some other people consider suicide for when they have failed relationships. There was this time I was at the hospital for a visitation, and a vehicle drove in. And what happened? There was a man lying behind at the back seat of this vehicle, and with a lady beside him. I asked a question. They called the doctor. They were checking, and he was confirmed dead on arrival. It was confirmed dead. And I asked what happened. They said he took insecticide because his girlfriend left him. Okay, now you took insecticide. You committed suicide. Is the girlfriend going to die? She's going to move on. Probably marry your best friend tomorrow. So failed relationships, emotional relationships and abuse can cut really deep, but it will not kill you. It will not maim you if you don't allow it. If you allow your heart to heal, it will not maim you. It will not kill you. So you don't go ahead and take your life. Always consider the brighter side of every situation. Suicide is not an option. Should never be considered. Never ever be considered. There are other situations you'll find, like are blackmailed. Some people are blackmailed and they feel instead of me to take this walk of shame, I better end my life. Is not a solution. Talk to someone. The blackmailer may tell you, don't talk to someone. If you do, I am going to do this. I'm going to embarrass you. I'm going to throw this in. I'm going to put the evidence for everybody to see. It is better for you to walk the walk of shame than to take your life. Over time, people will get to know that you are a victim. And again, about blackmail, the people you are thinking will judge you if you tell them what you're going through. especially parents for the young ones, and spouses or partners, for those in the relationships, or those that are married, or close friends. You find that there's some people you're thinking are going to judge you, that judge your act, which resulted to the blackmail, may just be the same people that will rally around you and be the support system for you. You need to talk to someone. You don't consider, suicide should be far from your mind. Suicide, why? It's only the living that has ambition. It's only the living that has aspiration. Whatever it is, suicide should not be considered. And some people will tell you, I don't know where my next meal is coming from. I don't know. There's no hope. You've been looking for a job. Nothing is coming through. Whatever it is, look within. Until you sit down and check, you won't know that there's solution right inside of you. Be humble. Start to do something, no matter how little. Start to do something. In the course of your dedication to the little, you will find that somebody will spot your dedication and place you rightly where you should be. So contentment. Practice contentment within any situation at that point in time, within the scarce resources or no resources. Don't consider ending your life. No, not at all. Don't ever do that. Life is only the living that can fulfill purpose. Another reason some people consider suicide, or some people commit suicide, is this feeling of emptiness, feeling of worthlessness. I don't feel good enough. You just find that you don't appreciate your own life. You see yourself like nothing is working for you. This is the result of your thought process over time. Over time, you kept considering in your heart that you're not good enough. You look in the mirror, you don't like what you see. You take the criticism of people to heart. You allow the comments, the statements, the side talks of people to structure you. You need to begin to believe yourself. So when you start hearing those tiny voices telling you you're not good enough, you're failed, it's because of what you have spoken to yourself through your thought process over time, or what you have listened to people say to you. You must begin to believe in yourself. You must begin to believe in your ability. You are unique. You are not like the second person. You are the first person. You are unique. So don't compare your life to anyone, and don't allow anybody compare you to anybody. Don't you ever. Some people start feeling this, having this feeling of worthlessness, and they can't understand where it's coming from. But if you can identify where it's coming from, address it. Address it quickly. If you can't, seek help. Again, I go to seek professional help. We are from this part of the climb, this part of the world, that we think consulting a psychologist or a psychiatrist means that you have gone mad. It's so unfortunate. When you go to some of these developed countries, you find people just go there and seek. You go seek help. I've seen a situation where a parent of a young girl had to take the girl to see a psychologist and a psychiatrist because the little girl's best friend passed. The little girl's best friend, a young girl, died, and they felt this is going to have an effect on their child. They didn't wait for the child to break down. They took the child to go and see a psychologist and a psychiatrist. Let's begin to walk ahead. Let's not begin to stigmatize ourselves. What will people say? That I went to see a psychiatrist, that means something is wrong with me. It's not better for you to say a psychiatrist and your life is organized once again than to be living in self-denial? Are you going to continue to consider what people think and say, or you want to begin to live your life in full? So considering suicide because of emptiness is not an option. Address whatever issues. Go seek help. And you know what it is. If it's a relationship that is beginning to make you feel worthless, address it. Address it quickly. Address it very quickly. No one is permitted to make you feel less of yourself. It can only happen if you allow it. If you don't allow it, nobody can come into your space and make you feel less of yourself. So, suicide should never be an option. Find the spot where all this negativity is coming from. Another reason again that makes people sometimes to consider committing suicide is illnesses, strange illnesses, terminal diseases. Do you know that your determination to live helps the medication you're taking? Your determination to live, your determination not to die, can come as a solution to your situation. I've heard of a story of somebody who was told had some weeks to die. And you see, your mindset really affects how you address issues. Working on your mindset. Your mindset, I'm going to talk on that again in another video. Let me go ahead with this. And this person said, okay, if she has just few weeks to live, or few months to live, they're about to live, she went about touching lives. She started affecting lives positively. Went about, charity. She started affecting lives, raising destinies within the little she can do, talking to people and all that, trying to make herself happy, only to get back for a checkup. And they said, oh no, you're not dying again after all. You still have a long way to go. Which is her determination to live and to impact life. Her determination to be positive. Her determination to think positive at that time of negativity helped her situation. So, whether you have a terminal illness or you have a strange disease, be positive. You don't know what tomorrow has in store for you. You don't know. Be positive. Be grateful for the moment you have. Live, and strangely so, you will find out that you will not die after all. Debt, D-E-A-T-H, is a debt, D-E-P-T, that everybody will have to pay. But you don't have to run and embrace it when it's not your time. When it is not yet your time. So don't consider suicide. Suicide, it shouldn't be an option. Learn to live. There's a situation, address it. Anyone you can confront it. Anyone you can avoid it. Anyone you seek help, go for help. Go get help. But raising the rope of death when it is not your time to die should never be considered. You have too many people looking up to you. You don't know it. You may never know. You ask yourself, what kind of life am I living? But there are so many people looking up to you. Don't show them the road that should not be followed. Suicide is not the way. Live and be happy. Live and be happy. Consider positivity. Any negativity you're going through, any tiny voice speaking lies to you, is because of how you have been considering your life in the past. So change your mindset. Start to consider good. Consider what is edifying, what brings you joy, and start to live. Suicide is not an option. It should never be considered. Live and be happy. Live and be happy. Suicide is not an option. Live.